Hey guys, DT Rockstar1 here. This is a 1995 Corvette ZR-1. This was the last year of the C4 Corvette ZR-1 before it went out of production. One of the interesting things about this car is that the ZR-1 was not a model. It was a $27,000 option when it came out in 1990 and went till 1995. It first started off with 375 horsepower approximately, and when the Dodge Viper came out with 400 horsepower, they decided to bump up the horsepower to 405. This version you see here, this is a 95, and this one has 405 horsepower, so this is one of the last ones made. This was compared with the Ferrari Testarossa and the Lamborghini Countach of the time because they had very similar performance figures. This car had a top speed of about 180 miles per hour. It was actually in the same magazine covers as those two other cars, and you could get it for a fraction of the price. Even though it was an expensive Corvette, you know, $27,000 on top of the base model price, it was still much cheaper than those other two supercars. One of the things they did is they widened the rear end of the car to accommodate the 11-inch tires. In order to do that, they actually had to redo the doors on they actually had to create new doors for the car since it was so wide at the back end. Now, Lotus designed the engine on this car, and a company called Mercury Marine ended up building it. So, and this is one of the coolest engines you'll ever see in a Corvette. So now, the ZR-1 had a feature which was was valet mode. Comes with a key right here. It's an extra key that goes into a slot. You could select either normal or full power. Well, when you put it into normal, that's valet mode. That way, if you get some you take it to the valet and you have some young kid who wants to take it for a joyride, putting it in normal power or valet mode limits it to only about 200 or 250 horsepower. I mean, that's not going to stop them from taking it from a joyride, but still, that way they're not getting the full 405 horsepower. Well, now this is a great story. A friend of a friend had a C4 ZR-1, and his friends were saying to him, "Wow, isn't that a cool car?" And he was like, "Yeah, I guess it's all right." Well, it turns out he was driving the car for 8 years, not knowing that he was driving it in valet mode for 8 years, not knowing that there was a full power mode. And when he finally found out about that and he tried it in full mode, he was blown away by the power. How disheartening would that be to spend all that extra money not knowing that you're driving it in very limited power mode? I just thought that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. In 1990, the ZR-1 set a world record in Fort Stockton, Texas. There was a 7.7 mile track, an oval track that it went around, and it averaged a speed of over 175 miles per hour in a 24-hour run. Now, the interesting thing is, the previous record had been held for 50 years. And there was numerous other manufacturers who tried to beat that record. Ford, Audi, and a bunch of others, and they all failed. The ZR-1 is the one that finally broke that record that lasted 50 years. So one of the reasons why they discontinued the ZR-1 is because a lot of customers just couldn't justify the extra 30 grand for an extra 75 horsepower. It was too much money for what they got. And the other thing too is that the C5 Corvette was being worked on. They were about to release that pretty soon, and the LT5 engine that was in there, they would not have been able to use that in the C5. It was just too big. So, but they learned a lot from this car. It broke some great records, and it's just a beautiful car. It does not look dated to this day.